This video was sponsored by Eufy. This is the Eufy S1 Pro, the world's first and best floor washing robot vacuum. It's currently mapping my house. Notice how it doesn't need to bump the edges of the walls of the room to know that they're there. It just looks at it. But how does that work? How does a tiny robot vacuum just look at a room and create a 2D and even a 3D image of the room? Today we're diving into the incredible technology behind this robot to explore how these devices we've welcomed into our homes actually work. Now I want to test how clean this robot actually makes the floor after mopping. Since we can't see the bacteria and germs on the floor, I'm going to do a different test that'll let me know just how clean the floor actually is. I have here a solution of Bitrex, the most bitter substance in the world. At just 10 parts per million, it's so bitter that no human can consume it. So I'm gonna spill a solution of Bitrex on the floor and then have the robot mop it up, and then I'm actually gonna eat off the floor to see if my food is bitter afterwards. Okay, first let's test it to see if it's actually bitter. Do I dare do this? Ugh. Oh my goodness. Really gets on the back of the tongue. Oh, it's so bitter. Ugh. Okay, let's have the robot mop it up now. So if it can clean the Bitrex off to lower than a few parts per million, I'd also assume that it's clean enough to eat off. For my floor meal today, I'll be having some ham topped with some sliced cherry tomatoes and drizzled with some balsamic glaze. Okay, this is really weird, but I'm curious if it actually worked. Here we go. Get a good slice right where the liquid was. And it's great. No problem.
What are you doing in here?
Nothing. I kind of like this. I don't even have to clean a plate after. So I currently have my vacuum sweeping and mopping my room. Right now it uses 3 different technologies to know what this room looks like. It's using time-of-flight LiDAR, binocular infrared imaging, and also visible light cameras. So if we look at the robot through this infrared camera, you'll notice something. There's a laser light that's only visible with this infrared camera. You can see it flashing and shining off the walls. This is an infrared laser. They use infrared lasers because at this brightness it won't harm your eyes, and also there's no interference from the visible lights in the room. What we're seeing here is the laser light used for the time-of-flight LiDAR. What it's actually doing is sending out very short pulses of infrared light, then timing how long it takes for a reflection of light then to hit the sensor of the robot. It's literally clocking the speed of light. But how is that even possible? The speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. That means it takes only 3.3 nanoseconds to bounce off and come back from something half a meter away. In order to measure that with any good resolution, first you'd need a clock that ticks much faster than billions of times per second. But the fastest computer chips have a clock speed of a few billion cycles per second. So that's not fast enough to measure this kind of speed. So how do you measure an event when you don't have a clock that can tick fast enough? Well, you have to be pretty clever. For example, let's say that I'm sending out a pulse of light like this. I'll graph it with this dark red line here. This is my light signal. So I turn it on and then off as fast as I can, and then I wait a bit and then turn it on and off again. So the speed that I can turn it on and off is fixed. Then I have a detector with a light sensor that gives a current when it sees the reflection. So I'll show the signal of the light detector with this red line. If we let them both run together, you can see that there's a slight delay between the signal and the reflection. So we want to know how much it's delayed, but the problem is we don't have anything that can tick or switch faster than the width of the light signal. So what we do is we have another switch that I'll call G1. It's this purple line. We'll turn this switch on when we have our light signal on, like this. Then we connect it to a capacitor along with the signal from the reflection, so that when the G1 switch is on and we're detecting reflected light, then it'll charge a capacitor that I'll call S1. So whenever the purple line and the red line are on together, the orange line will increase. Then we have another switch that I'll call G2. This switch turns on when G1 turns off, and it lasts for the same duration as our light pulse as well. And we connect it to a different capacitor that I'll call S2. So the S2 only charges when we're detecting reflected light and G2 is on. So you can see that the yellow line only increases when the red line is on and the pink line is on. And each time a pulse happens, only a tiny bit of light is collected in each sensor. So this is done thousands of times. And then the current from each capacitor is collected, and we just compare the amount from S1 and S2. And then you can use the speed of light to end up calculating the distance to the object that the reflected light bounced off of using this equation here. This is amazing that we can figure out the time it takes for light to reflect using timers that are thousands of times slower than the event we're measuring. So with this time of flight technology, we can map out the room around us just with these laser pulses. But when things get really close, we can't get good resolution because the difference between the emission and reflection of light are so close together. So there are also infrared cameras on board with the infrared lights. These cameras are placed like eyes on the head with slightly different locations. Based on the image location on each of these cameras and the focal length, we can precisely determine how far away something is. The depth of the image is just the focal length times the distance between the two cameras, divided by the disparity between the two images, meaning how shifted they are from each other when you compare the two images. This is how our brain can have depth perception based on the input from both of our eyes. So the robot is literally seeing the room with this method. So combine this with the time of flight, you can have a robot that knows exactly where it is in a room and what's around it. Finally, to make the ultimate vision machine, it has visible light cameras as well. With normal cameras, it can sense different textures and colors and really combine everything to have superhuman vision. But the best thing about the Eufy S1 Pro is that it doesn't store the images that it takes. It simply uses them in real time to navigate its environment. This protects your privacy in your home. I mentioned at the beginning that the Eufy S1 Pro is the first and best floor washing robot. It's the first because it's the world's first floor washing robot vacuum with an all-in-one station. It's also the industry's first square-shaped floor washing robot vacuum. This breakthrough with square-shaped body required rewriting navigation algorithms and developing a new hardware stacking solution. They launched their breakthrough square body design in July 2022, and it earned the CES 2023 Innovation Award in January 2023, beating out competitors like SwitchBot by about 6 months. It's also the world's first robot vacuum with a dual water tank. The added dirty water tank collects debris from the mop, while the clean water tank continuously cleans the mop, ensuring its cleanliness during mopping and preventing cross-contamination. So it takes the clean water out of here, washes the mop and cleans everything out, and then puts the dirty water in the back here. Competing products only have a single clean water tank and lack a dirty water tank for collecting the wastewater. It also has the longest mop at 290 millimeters for a maximum mopping area. It's also the best because of its unique features. For example, the self-cleaning mop feature. The S1 Pro doesn't just mop, it continuously washes and dries its mop while it cleans, so you're never spreading dirty water around the floors. Let me show you how it cleans the mop after a job. You can hear it exchanging the water and then cleaning the mop. And then after, it even dries the mop so you don't get any gross mildew or anything like that. So right now it's drying. You can hear a fan actually drying the mop below. Look at all this dirty water after the mopping session. Since it swapped out this water, that means it's not just spreading the dirty water around your floor. To see how well this mops, I have some UV dye here, and I'm gonna shine an ultraviolet light on it as the Eufy S1 Pro mops. Let's see how well it can actually mop up this dye on the floor. Whoa, that actually did pretty well. It even got in the cracks of the tile. With just one pass, it pretty much sucked up all the dye. Now let's compare it to the way I used to mop before this with a Swiffer. So you can see the Swiffer just kind of spreads it around, even with a lot of passes of the Swiffer, and I usually just do one pass. So the Eufy actually does better mopping than I can do with my Swiffer. The Eufy S1 Pro doesn't just clean well, it's also smart. It's equipped with the most advanced AI obstacle avoidance technology. It navigates around furniture and other obstacles seamlessly. So whether it's operating in low light conditions or dealing with small objects, this robot adapts to your home in real time. So you don't have to worry about it getting stuck or missing spots. It's always in control and delivers a perfect clean every time. I've had many other robot vacuums, and I can seriously say that this one navigates around my house the best out of any of them. After it's done, the S1 Pro returns to its 10-in-1 UniClean station, which uses ozone water sterilization technology and kills up to 99.99% of germs and bacteria. So it ensures a thorough and hygienic clean everywhere without the use of harsh chemicals. And I love that the charging is super fast and efficient, so the S1 Pro is always ready when I need it. This robot took years of refinement to perfect, and you can see the difference in its performance. I can honestly say that this is my favorite vacuum and mop combination that I've ever owned. It's incredibly easy to use. It never gets lost, and thanks to its precise design, it knows exactly where the edges are. So no more bumping into walls like my old robot vacuums. And right now, Eufy is having their biggest sell ever. You can get up to $500 off with their limited discount that's available starting October 8th. So if you're looking for the world's first and best floor washing robot vacuum, you can click the link in my description and check out the Eufy S1 Pro for yourself. And thanks for watching another episode of the Action Lab, and I'll see you next time.